Hey everyone, welcome to this weekend Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for April 15th, 16th, and 17th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link because the signs are different. All right, so this weekend we're entering the gibbous phase of the lunar cycle, which means we're approaching that full moon next week. Can be a very illuminating time, and we can gain that momentum from a lot of the things that perhaps we started or were challenged with or were open to working with last week. So this weekend we're going to have the moon in Cancer on Friday, shifting into Leo the second half of Friday, and then the moon will be in Leo all weekend long, which is quite nice. Good placement for the moon to be in here in both signs. On Friday, still like yesterday, perhaps a bit of that emotional quality of life, maybe spending time at home, maybe wanting to spend time with family, take care of health, reflect a little bit, tap into those caring and protective qualities of ourselves, and just allowing those emotions to come forth in a state of presence, of course, because it has been this Piscean time. And so the focus right now, I think, is on still developing our spiritual self, where we can have acceptance in life and the tremendous peace that comes from going with the flow and having that acceptance. So that's going to be the backdrop of the weekend. Now, we do have an important weekend. In fact, we have some very important changes. Mars is going retrograde this weekend, followed by Pluto going into Monday. Mercury is forming a grand trine, and the sky is going to be trining up to Pluto exact here on Saturday and Sunday. And so on Friday, we're still very much in this Jupiter part of the grand trine because Mercury's forming this grand trine with Jupiter and Pluto. So in terms of Jupiter, from yesterday on Thursday, there was a bit of that perhaps insightful, maybe optimistic view of things, which can certainly still be the case on Friday. Seeing the big picture, maybe doing some brainstorming. It's a very insightful time. And here, by allowing the mind to wander a little bit and see things in a new direction. So still great on Friday for anything involving the mind, the communication, maybe even the routine as well, which can be very supportive. Now, the moon is going to be forming a grand trine as well. And this one's going to be with Mars and Venus. Okay, so two grand trines in the sky on Friday. Now, this one with Mars and Venus, this is specifically with interpersonal relationships. Okay, I think it can be a very supportive day for those, specifically the first half, seeing how we can have both the independence of Mars and the mutuality in relationships, which I think can come very easy and very naturally. Okay, this was the trine we had earlier in the week. Could have been a bit passionate with the masculine feminine side of things, with the masculine feminine side of self, right? And a bit of that energy yet willingness to connect, right? It could be a lot of passion in those relationships, a lot of that energy there, a lot of intention, but also that tact and mutuality. So that's going to be the strongest emphasis on Friday. The second half of the day does have a square up to that Mercury from the moon, but a trine from Saturn, so it could be a good second half of the day to be patient on working on things, maybe with the routine, taking that disciplined approach. Now, as we go into Saturday, that's when we're going to start to feel, I think, the Plutonic side of this grand trine with Mercury. Perhaps some powerful thinking. Perhaps some transformation of the mind, in fact. And this is a supportive energy, so it can, although it could be deep, it could be intense, it could come across as very supportive and very easy in that sense. It's a time when I think we're wanting to transform, wanting to change our perspective on things, and we certainly can. This can also be with our communications, which can be very intent and very deep as well. Mercury has been in Aries, which is this fire energy of our ideas really coming forward, or our communications being very direct at the moment. Okay, so now with the Pluto side of it, and with Pluto in Sagittarius, this greater willingness to change, to see the big picture, to change our worldview. Okay, that's been the Sagittarius side of that. So it's an excellent day for, and even all weekend long for that matter, to just be open to changing our perspective on things, particularly life, and particularly about our goals and how we do assert ourselves, how we think about ourselves, right? How we think about the things that we're pursuing. And that's really where Mars comes into the picture, because a lot of that is going to be reflective now. Okay, so Mars going retrograde is now going to be this reflection on where have we been putting our energy? reflecting on ourselves in many ways, reflecting on our self-image, our self-worth, our self-esteem. And it all really comes from that just willingness to reflect on where we've been putting our intentions and what our desires actually are. And I think it's all very meaningful. I mean, it's all about meaning. Mars has been transiting Scorpio. So really digging deep with self. See what really matters to us in life now with this retrograde. We've already been reflecting on that because Saturn's been retrograde. But now we got 2 retrograde planets in this Ophiuchus Scorpio energy, which is about what matters in life. What is meaningful to us, right? Changing old unconscious patterns, unconscious belief systems, right? And then again, redoing where we've been putting in our energy. So reflecting on where we have been putting in that energy and maybe what might need to change with that, or we could modify with that and reflect on a little bit, okay? And it all comes from reflecting on the self. Again, particularly with what matters to us. So that's going to be emphasized too with Pluto, because Pluto is very much about that transformation and all of that Scorpio Ophiuchus energy. So now for about the next 6 months with this one, reflecting on our psyche, reflecting on where we might have attachments, where we might have fears. Okay, but this is going to be more of a subtle energy. I think that's going to be mostly going into next week. Pluto is a very slow-moving planet. It takes time for these things to start to go into that reflective mode. But there's definitely this pause, specifically Saturday and Sunday going into Monday. This pause for a second. It's kind of stopping for a second in terms of, again, where we're putting our intentions, where we're headed, the deep psyche, what really matters to us in life. How can we have healthier bonds, healthier intimacy in our interrelationships, right? And, again, re-examining our intentions in life. Okay, so that's the pause, and I think it's a good weekend for that. But at the same time, with that Mercury trining up to Pluto, there's a lot of this depth and understanding about it. There's a lot of understanding about these deep truths, right? And that's where the deep ideas, the deep insights can come into the picture. Be willing to see things in a way that maybe we didn't because we were too afraid to, or we weren't willing to dive deep enough to do so. All right, these are the doors opening in the psyche this weekend. All right, it can be very powerful in a very good, positive way. With Jupiter still in that orb of a grand trine, there still is perhaps a bit of that optimism or a bit of that worldview, that overarching perspective, which helps us see things in a way that isn't so just detailed in the everyday experiences. Right? We can step back from the daily life, step back from the daily experiences, and re-examine and really see things in our life this weekend. Specifically where we can make that change of perspective, change of where we're putting our energy, change with our masculine side, re-examining our intentions, our goals, ourselves this weekend. All right, so that's going to be the weekend in a nutshell. And then again, with the moon in Leo, though, specifically Saturday and Sunday, there's a lot of this self-expression. I think it's an excellent weekend for expressing ourselves, for maybe getting involved with creative projects, creative things, tapping into that playful, lighthearted side of life. Maybe doing some entertaining or being entertained, right? Enjoying our interests and passions, which a lot of it is reflective with Jupiter retrograde in Leo, but still an excellent weekend for expressing ourselves and in the process, understanding more about ourselves in that deeper way from that big picture perspective. All right, so I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on Monday.